Hej alla lyssnare här. Good again om album musical. So bring you guys an old school album review. As you can see, I actually spoke a little bit of Swedish right now, trying to learn some new languages. But yeah, today we're going to be looking into this album's 15-year anniversary, and it's from one of my favorite bands. And as you can see below the title, today we're going to be looking into Ghost Reveries by Opeth. This is the band's 8th album, released on August 29th, 2005 through Roadrunner Records. Now, this of course follows up their previous album being Damnation, which came out in 2003. And compared to Damnation, Damnation was more of along the lines of just progressive rock, just straight up like something from the 70s, like Genesis or Pink Floyd and Rush, bands like that. But with this album, this kind of like marks a little bit of a return to the progressive metal style, sort of like something from like Still Life or Blackwater Park. And it also features some of the death growls, but it still kind of retains some of the progressive rock elements that was featured on Damnation. Ghost Reveries, from what I heard, this was originally going to be a concept album with like all the tracks sort of like linking together about a story of a man's torn male after committing an inconceivable act, pretty much killing his own mother. But apparently it never like materialized. But this album is only partially portrays a concept, but not fully arranged in some albums such as like Still Life or My Arms Your Hearse. And yeah, just production wise, fantastic. Band pretty much does what it needs to do. Just the vocal work from Michael Ackerfeld is great. Just like his clean vocals just really shine. It just really just feels very mellow. It's just so soothing. And when he does his death growls, it's just fuck, it just sounds amazing. And Michael's guitar work along with Peter Lindgren's like soloing is just superb. Bass wise, Martin Mendez's bass is pretty audible. The sort of like the piano and like organs from Per Wilberg is great. And drumming wise, in my honest opinion, I think Martin Lopez is in my opinion, one of the most underrated drummers in metal, period. And he does a really great job on this album. He does like good beats and just blast beats and the other shit. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting things off is Ghost of Perdition, which it starts off with some pretty quiet like chords, and it just goes into just like a great progressive death metal song. And then right off the bat, you can definitely hear Michael Ackerfeld screams. It just sounds so fucking amazing. And as the song goes through, it also introduced to like Michael's like clean vocals. And since this song is pretty much great with full vocals and also great chord progressions and overall really fantastic musicianship, a pretty good way to start off this album. And then we go on to The Baying of the Hounds, which is probably my favorite song on the album. It starts off with some pretty catchy guitar riffs blended with an organ. And this song pretty much shows what Opeth is all about, and it's an incredibly great song and some great musicianship again. Then we go on to Beneath the Meyer, which this is kind of like my least favorite song off of the album, but it's not by any means a bad song, but I just wouldn't hesitate to say that I haven't found a bad song written so far from Opeth. It starts with like a drum leading intro accompanied by strings, and the reason I feel like it's my least favorite is because I just can't seem to make it through the rest of the song. Like Opeth writes long songs. They're pretty much like have like 10-minute songs, 12-minute songs, so forth, but for some reason I just doesn't feel like it. I don't know. No, it's not one song I would like listen to from Opeth on a regular basis, but yeah. Moving on to the next song on the album, which is called Atonement, which in my opinion is probably the most underrated song on Ghost Reveries. It's really catchy, has some great piano like solo, like especially near the end of the song, and like the verses have some bongos playing, which is pretty interesting, and it pretty much adds to like the feel of the song. Anyway, moving on to Reveries / Harlequin Forest. But now this is pretty much another song which is kind of similar to Beneath the Meyer, but I feel like it's much one of the little minor nitpicks I have about here is being like some of the songs are a little bit too long. But I wouldn't say that all the songs pretty much suffer from it, but all of them are good, if not great. But I just feel like some of them kind of like overstay their welcome a bit. But that's just me. Then we move on to Hours of Wealth, which is, in my opinion, probably one of the most laid-back tracks on the album. It starts off with a clean guitar and eventually is accompanied by some really great pianos and strings. And then, like, the second half of the song is dominated by a mellotron and Michael's vocals. And this song just really ends well with a great guitar solo. Pretty good way to end the song, if you ask me. Moving on to the Grand Conjuration, which the beginning riffs on this song is very dark and it's just balanced well. It's sort of like Martin's like groovy fills, and this song has pretty much some of the best lyrics on the album. Like the song in here has like, in the eyes of the Satan fixed on his sinners, the arms of Satan assembling his flock. Now that's pretty fucking metal, if you ask me. And like the chorus of the song, or the second chorus I should say, is some really great guitar solo with a little bit of like finger tapping from Michael Ackerfeld. Although, I don't know, it's a pretty good song, I love it. And then the album closes with Isolation Years. Now this song pretty much has a very melancholic feel, and the lyrics of the song I feel like is the most poetic I've seen from Ackerfeld. Like, the wound in me is pouring out to rest on the lover's shore, which is a pretty interesting way to end this album. It pretty much ends everything on a high note. Now overall, Ghost Reveries by Opeth is a good return to form, kind of like similar to something from like My Arms Are Here or Blackwater Park. So if I were to give this album a score, I'm probably going to give Ghost Reveries by Opeth probably a solid 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. So yep, that's my review of the album, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the album, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.